will be, well, why don't you just do that every day? And then, so what I think I've learned is we're going to consume exponentially more silicon.
Michael Saylor explores how Bitcoin and AI reshape money and intelligence. Big ideas ahead. Let's dive in.
Ask the AI a question, give me the 30-day call rate, selling call options at the money. And it's really good at calculating it, but it gets shut down if it's scraping a website. It needs a clean data feed. And so I'm either hyper intelligent or I'm stupid as can be. It'll give me the absolute wrong answer if it has to scrape a website, but it'll give me a perfect answer when I give it clean data. So digital property in the form of data feeds, what is the vector trajectory of every iPhone in the world right now? If you give that to the AI, you get some interesting results. What is the status, the open interest of every public company everywhere in the world right now? You'll get interesting insights. So I think the companies that have digital properties, right? It's not so much the Bessemer process for creating steel. It's not a static, know-how. The AI figures out how to do things statically pretty well. What it doesn't do is it doesn't figure out, how do I extract real-time proprietary data feeds? And so I think that the value of data, which all of our customers have, the value of proprietary data, is going to explode. And you got to think about, can I license my data to someone else so that they can plug it into an AI so they can change their product? And I think digital capital is, which is Bitcoin, is very important. When you come away from these things, you think, if I plug digital intelligence and digital labor into digital property. By the way, property is heterogeneous. There's 10,000 proprietary databases, just like real-world property is heterogeneous. Tokyo real estate is different than New York.
Bitcoin is climbing again, trading above $97,000 on May 7, as optimism around U.S.-China trade talks fuels risk-on sentiment across global markets. The price briefly touched $97,700 during early Asian trading hours, following comments from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who confirmed plans to meet with Chinese officials in Switzerland. His statement, emphasizing the current tariffs are unsustainable, sparked hopes of progress toward easing trade tensions, which has energized both stocks and crypto. This renewed bullishness is also backed by a wave of liquidations in the derivatives market. More than $83.6 million in short positions were wiped out in the last 24 hours, adding fuel to Bitcoin's push higher. Open interest in Bitcoin futures has jumped 26% over the past month, now sitting at $64.4 billion, signaling growing participation and confidence among traders. Technically, Bitcoin is breaking out of a falling wedge pattern, a bullish signal suggesting more upside could be ahead. If BTC can clear the $98,000 barrier, the next target is around $100,200. Still, traders remain cautious ahead of the Federal Reserve's FOMC meeting, which could spark market volatility depending on Chair Jerome Powell's tone. For now, Bitcoin holds strong above support, with momentum still favoring the bulls.
Electricity and digital power, because that's the way you break through to the new idea and the new market. And you just can't go the 20th century way. You can't even do things the way we did it 3-4 years ago. In the words of Magnus Carlsen, it's too weak, it's too slow. You have to be faster and stronger and smarter.
I get the extraordinary pleasure of being on the receiving end of Saturday morning messages from Mike, look at my AI chat, and it tends to be like 4 pages long, and I read it at 4 in the morning while I'm working out. And you're quite constructive and cheerful in those chats with the AI, which is a little different than sometimes, but I feel like it's made you a nicer, more cheerful, constructive person in general. And so I think there are other civilization-level benefits of AI. It's going to cause people to be nicer to each other. What are some of the other big things you think AI will do to the world?
You know, I think it's, if we think about classic economics, the economy was about land, labor, and capital, and you use those three components to create prosperity. And I think we're living in this digital transformation where digital land or digital property, digital labor, digital capital, and it's, you know, it's pretty clear that the agents in cyberspace are going to work 1 billion times harder or 1 billion times faster for us all. It's pretty clear that those bots will be put into robots, and the cars are going to drive themselves. And sometime in our lifetime, we'll have talking, walking, useful robots. And so the robots are coming to the real world. The agents are coming to the cyber world. You're going to see an explosion of digital labor. I think we'll need less physical property, and we'll need less physical labor. There'll be a dramatic decrease in the physical labor component in the economy. And of course, if the robots and the agents are doing a lot of work, they don't need as much real estate. They don't need as much physical property. What they do need, digital property, intellectual property, right? So the access to proprietary data. Turns out that
Bitcoin is holding steady but uncertain, as fears of a potential recession mix with hopes for progress in U.S.-China tariff talks. Currently trading around $96,700, Bitcoin's momentum is at risk of fading if economic conditions worsen. Analysts at Apollo Global Management predict a possible recession by summer, citing the sharpest decline in earnings outlook since 2020. That fear is pushing investors to tread carefully, especially with risk assets like crypto. However, there may be light on the horizon. Talks between the U.S. and China could begin this month, and that alone has sparked renewed interest in the market. Aurelie Barther from Nansen sees May as a key turning point, especially with certain tariff exemptions set to expire. A failure to negotiate could hit the economy hard and drag Bitcoin down with it. Still, she believes a complete breakdown is unlikely, as both nations have a shared interest in maintaining trade stability. Despite the economic cloud, some experts believe Bitcoin could still rise, even during a downturn. Intergovernmental blockchain advisor Andy Lane points to Bitcoin's rebound after the 2020 crash as a signal of its long-term strength. Still, with Bitcoin increasingly tied to tech stocks, volatility may remain high. Investors will need to watch global policy signals closely. That's all for today's video. Until next time.